have 2 children, Mila, who is going to be 6 this year, and Maxon, who is about to be 2 this next month. And we've had experiences with both Seattle Children's consulting with them, but all of our care has been done here in the Yakima Valley through Virginia Mason Memorial, and we've had our experience through the NICU as well as the pediatric floor.
So you're veterans of the kid wars, as they say.
We are.
You've been there, you've seen it.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with Neela, the oldest of the 2. What was her story and journey?
Well, she was just born a little early. Was it 4?
She heard she had an awesome dad and wanted to come out and check him out.
That's the biggest part,
Yeah.
and the most important piece of that. But
Yeah.
4 weeks early, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything blurs together now.
So she was. I would think that might. But so she was just premature.
Yeah,
right?
premature, 4 weeks early. Cassie had a preeclampsia and a little complications here and there towards the end, and so that kind of sped up the delivery process. And as soon as that happened, she was in NICU for 3 weeks, about 3 weeks, and not any big problems. Just she was just early and needed to develop a little more.
But still, when they come early and they're not supposed to, that puts you into the zone, and it's nice to have the expertise and the calming, soothing nature of the people at the NICU. Isn't that an amazing thing that they do and how they are?
Definitely. I have an aunt that works up there, and although she wasn't able to obviously care for Mila at the time, it was comforting just knowing that she was close by, but the entire staff was super helpful. They were really big on educating us on what we could do, what we could ask for, and advocating for us. They were truly one of the biggest support systems we had while we were there, and they were amazing.
Spell your daughter's name so that I don't get it wrong.
Mila, M-I-L-A.
M-I-L-A, like Mila Kunis, the
Yes.
TV star that apparently the whole world loves.
Yes.
Apparently. That's good. And so does Javine, because she likes
Oh, right, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Not our words, theirs. So Mila was, a lot of times when kids come early, they're there before everything's fully cooked, and so sometimes that could cause more problems on the outside for them with all kinds of things. But in Mila's case, it was just a matter of catching up, and no big hurdles that brought on going forward.
She had some breathing apnea, so some breathing issues at the beginning, and they had to give her some small doses of caffeine to kind of help the progression of growth, which was helpful. It definitely did what it was supposed to do, but then unfortunately you have to wean them off of that and make sure that they're not on anything for at least, was it like 48 hours before we could even think about going home. So it seemed like every time we'd kind of reach one success and there would be another small hurdle to jump. She had to eat a certain amount and weigh a certain amount, and so we'd eat and then she'd weigh a little less than she should, so we'd have to stay another day, and then she'd weigh that much but she ate less, and then we'd have to stay another day. So although it was only a 3-week period, it's just not a natural feeling to leave your children at the hospital when you leave. So we're thankful for the NICU and that our experience was short, and I feel for all of the families who have had to be there for months at a time, but we were fortunate that ours was slower and a great experience based on the fact that the staff there is just so experienced and wonderful.
And now age 6, how would you?
Yeah, she's just all the above, sports fan, princess. I mean,
she's super independent and a really big daddy's girl, and just loud and obnoxious, and
she needs to be my daughter.
She's a little weird.
She totally needs to meet my daughter Kate. Kate's 9. So I think they'd be a team. I really do. She sounds a lot like my daughter Kate. All right, so a little surprise on the get-go, but under control. 4 years into that, Maxon comes along, right?
Yep.
Better spell that one for me too.
M-A-X-E-N.
E-N. See, I didn't have any of my spelling right. So tell us Maxon's story.
Well, it was basically the same exact thing we went through with Mila, but he was 5 weeks early and kind of had pretty much the same problems she did, besides the breathing apnea thing. And so, it was just, he was early and needed to eat on his own and gain weight and whole 9 yards.
In life,
Yeah.
Does she always show up like 20 minutes early for everything? Is she one of those? I mean, is that just, are they getting that from mom? Is that this early arrival?
I'm the early arrival. I usually, she's like right on time, like pushing it to the second. No, I usually like to be like
5 minutes early is like 10 minutes late.
Calm down and relax.
Yeah.
So.
No, we're usually rushing last minute for sure.
Somebody got it from someplace because we're 2 for 2 on these kids. So, all right, so the fact that you've been through so much of this with Mila had to provide, it's kind of like, here we go again, but at least we know what we're going through. Is that what kind of was like?
It was definitely more comforting this time. It was just as emotional, obviously, because like I said, it's hard to leave without your child. But it was definitely more comfortable simply because we knew all of the faces. We knew the scenarios. We knew what was going to happen. You know, it was like we're rewalking the same path again. However, this was our second pregnancy. It was, you know, we were so prepared and so confident that this one was going to go completely different and way better, and we were going to carry full term and, you know, all this stuff. And he actually came a week earlier, so it surprised us at the end. You know, we knew based on the signs of what my pregnancy was doing that we were heading down the same road, but didn't anticipate it to be, you know, a whole week earlier and to go that much quicker. He stayed in the hospital just like Mila did for a little bit less time, but for the similar reasons. You know, he had breathing apnea, he had eating issues, and his actually all presented themselves as worse than hers originally did, but he recovered and, you know, pulled out of it so much quicker than she did. It was really interesting.
Wow. Did you say, hey, Maxon, I was counting on this week to get your room painted. Come on.
Well, I did give him a pep talk because it was right before the first Seahawk game. And so I gave him some choice words and be like, we got to get home because Seahawks play on Sunday. And we were doing our fantasy draft while we were in the NICU room feeding him. So
that was perfect.
Yeah, we had a lot going on.
Obviously, our first priority was definitely him, but we were anxious to get him home. To meet Mila, I mean, she can't go see him when he's in the NICU.
Sure.
So we, you know, talked a lot about him, but she was very confused on where he was and why we were gone all the time visiting him. And so that was a struggle. So we were anxious to get him home. We gave him that pep talk. We talked about the Seahawks, and he kicked it into gear and came home. So.
Well, he takes direction. Typical cat, dog, brother, sister, or is she, you know, more protective of him because he was behind when he was able to first come home, or how would you characterize it?
You know, I don't think she quite understood what was going on at first. You know, she knew that he was born and we talked about him a lot, but then he wasn't around, and so she just was, I don't ever think she put it together. So as she gets older, I think she'll understand more, but she's definitely protective. You know, she's 4 years older, but they're similar in size because he's such a tank and he's so big, and she's petite and tiny, and you know, so they're similar in size, but they're definitely inseparable. You know, they have their moments of cat and dog, but he wants to do everything she's doing, and she does everything to get him out and be, you know, they're teaming up against us already. You know, he tried, we laid him down for a nap the other day, and you know, I was like, hey, lay down, buddy, go to sleep. And I turn around and she went and pulled him out of the crib because he was crying. And I turn around and they're both just saying, they're like, hi, Mom. I'm like, oh.
That's pretty cool.
And then we had a small hiccup with Maxon when he was about 14 months old, where we ended up back at the hospital due to a rare form of anemia that we were told he had. We went through about a week or so of noticing that his skin was a darker, like, not really a darker, but like a yellowish green color. And we couldn't figure out, you know, where it was coming from, what was going on.
Were you all concerned he was turning into the Hulk or anything
right?
like that?
I mean, we didn't know what was going on, so we finally
so he was
called
a tank.
Right, so exactly. So we called our pediatrician, and they did some blood work and sent us home for the day. And later that night they called. It was like 5:30, I think, and you know, the doctor was like, I just got a chance to look over the blood work, and it's really abnormal, so I need you to go up to the hospital and get it rerun, and we'll kind of see from there. So when we went into the hospital, we had kind of a really emotional roller coaster of news and information of what they thought it was, which we thought could potentially be a more serious case, and then, you know, when we came down to what it actually was, and it was called TEC. It's transient erythroblastemia of childhood. So it's a rare form of anemia that can cause kind of a blip in your production of red blood cells and bone marrow. And so it was causing him to have, you know, similar symptoms to almost a jaundice look. He was really, they told us he should have been really lethargic and sleepy, and he definitely was sleepy, but he was pretty alert and aware and, you know, somewhat fine. So normally it just kind of fixes itself in children at that age, because it only happens in children between 6 months and 4 years old. And like I said, he was just about over a year.
Yeah.
So we were admitted, in worst cases, you can be admitted for a blood transfusion, and we were admitted for the blood transfusion to increase his numbers. and we were released within a day, which was nice. So we stayed on the pediatric floor that night and had, you know, similarly to the NICU after Mila, we had the same nurses and doctors with Maxon. You know, it's again the same thing. There's not a whole lot of turnover there, which we love because it's like seeing all of your old friends again. You know, we go back and we don't want to go back and see them for these reasons, but it's comforting to know that they're still there and they're checking in on our kids and we're able to care for them.
You get that comfort zone with somebody as precious as your kids are to you, and to have to totally entrust their care to somebody else that not only are they going to meet the technical needs and requirements, but who have the heart for it too, that will give them some of the emotional stuff that they need when they're really young too. So.
Right, right. So we were thankful that night we didn't get transferred to Seattle Children's. We were able to stay here and have all of our care here. However, we did consult with several Seattle Children's doctors during that event. So we've never been at the Village. We've never, you know, had our care anywhere else but Virginia Mason Memorial.
Gotcha. Well, how's Matt? He still feels a responsibility for the Seahawks thing. I mean, is he holding up the family?
He's a huge Mariner fan. Like, he loves to watch baseball. He was even trying to watch the little. The other day, I was trying to figure out what he's doing. He kept looking at the screen and like moving his head side to side. And I'm like, what is he doing? He was looking at the updates that were coming up on the bottom of the screen, and he was watching them go across. I thought it was the funniest thing. So. But no, he it's funny. I'll have two channels. I'll have a cartoon and baseball, and he wants to watch Mariners. So.
Well, Dad's wearing a Mariner shirt today, so representing. That's good.
Huh?
What's his name?
Oh, that's right. I mean, we he took my middle name or whatever, and then at the last second before he was born, you know, it was the year Griffey was inducted to the Hall of Fame, and so I was like, can we just throw in Griffey? We give him two middle names, so it's Max and James Griffey Milden. So.
I guess we know where the family's at on Mariner fandom there, don't we? Well, that's pretty cool. Well, certainly he's got a heck of a role model there in that one. Mr. Hall of Fame, amazing. So yours, not all of these cruising as a regular family, doing your thing, and in the back of your mind going, thank gosh for those great folks over there at the NICU, huh?
Yes, certainly. We appreciate everything that Virginia Mason Memorial has done in the NICU and the pediatric floor. Like I said, to see some of the familiar faces was so wonderful, but the care above everything else was, you know, amazing. They did everything they could, all 3 times we've been there, and, you know, provided us with what we needed. So.
Well, a lot of people, you know, think of hospitals and clinics and all these different kinds of things that Children's Miracle Network is all about. Is for folks who are, you know, have some terrible life-threatening disease or some horrific accident. I mean, you guys are just living life, and here comes Junior early. I mean, that could happen to virtually anybody, right?
Right. Yeah, premature pregnancies and labors happen more often than you think, and can have similar complications. You know, somewhat minor like ours, but unfortunately they do happen. So to know that we have such a great facility here in town and a community and Children's Miracle Network that helps take care of them is definitely helpful.
All right, so now it's that's why we're here. That's why we're telling your tale.
Yes.
Because we want to duplicate outcomes like yours, right?
Right. So we just want to say donate and give all that you can, because plenty of families in the Yakima Valley can use it. You know, we were fortunate enough to have the NICU and Virginia Mason Memorial at our hands when we needed it most, and so we encourage everyone to give all that they can to continue the great things that they're doing.